Yard Act the Overload album review. Let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here to chat about this latest debut album from Leeds-based post-punk act Yard Act. They've been at it for a few years now, and their sound kind of takes from a couple of different directions in that community, whether it be the no-wave direction, or post-punk, or hard punk, or even some dance punk. And they've landed on a lot of bands to watch list in the last few years, mostly because of their very intense, very wordy style. And honestly, I enjoyed their debut EP that came out last year. For the most part, I thought some of the singles there were pretty good. They seem to have a serious appreciation for the classics in your post-punk and art punk. But they also brought it up to date nicely, and I liked the urgency of their music as well. They seem to be pissed off. Now, that being said, a lot of people have been hyping up their debut album quite a bit, and I thought that some of the singles leading up to it were pretty good. Let's chat about it. The album starts off with its title track, The Overload. And overall, I think this is a pretty good intro. I like the dance punk groove that we get here, and like I stated earlier, I think it's got this urgency to it that you don't usually hear in this era of post-punk, and it comes through wonderfully. This track just sounds like it's been bottled up for so long and it's going to explode, and here we are. And as the track progresses, it does explode with a flurry of really fantastic one-liners, really great grooves, some fantastic group vocals as well. Something oddly about this reminds me of the early days of like Sleaford Mods. Really great start, and it actually does a really wonderful job of painting their sound. Dead Horse, on the other hand, is even more dance punk oriented. This track is all about the groove. It's a little less explosive, it's a little more hypnotic, and the spoken word performance that we get here is actually one of the most captivating on this entire album. But like these instrumentals, man, they are tight. They are the real selling point around this, and just this chorus is so freaking groovy. I love it. While I don't think that Yard Act is that band to watch just yet, just a little bit of a spoiler alert, I think the potential on this album is ridiculous. Honestly, I wasn't that wild about Payday at first. I didn't really like the sort of muddy production on this track. But the spoken word explosion that we get on this track is hard to argue with. Like I said, the urgency of this album, once again, is a major selling point. And I love how genuinely freaky and weird the final moments of this track get. This track, and this band genuinely has like a weird, odd personality to them at times. It's honestly something I wish they capitalized on more. The Incident, on the other hand, it's a little meat and potatoes post-punk. It's nothing wildly new in the genre, but it certainly gets the job done. It's got this hypnotic chorus that sticks with you, and I love how timely and poignant these lyrics are. Like, as quirky and as weird as this album gets at times, this album is pissed off, and rightfully so. And Witness is probably the most overtly punk track here. From just its jittery energy alone, this track sounds like it's gonna pounce at any second. It's a great sound for Yard Act, but some of this album, I don't know, it just seems a little too cookie cutter for me. Like, take Rich, for example. Post-punk is a genre that is literally built on hypnotic riffs, just building and building and building tension and energy. But this is just not nearly captivating, and it's one of the longer tracks here, and there's no personality to show for it. But this is just not nearly as captivating instrumentally or performance-wise, and that's a shame because I think there's some serious personality once again. Like I said, Yard Act have a lot of it. Land of the Blind, while a lot of people are really loving this track, I kind of find it heartbreaking. Lyrically, this is probably easily my favorite rote track here. The lyrics on this track are incredible. I love how visual it is. It is oddly poetic at times and actually ends up being really beautiful in a weird way, but instrumentally, this is so boring. I mean, trust me, if you're into this, I get it. There's a lot to like here, but everything else about this track is a little ho-hum for me. And Tall Poppies, I don't know if it's just me. I think this is my least favorite track here, and it is such a heartbreaker because I usually love these overtly strange sort of caricatures of odd characters in post-punk. I usually love that, but on the contrary, this is really kind of hard to listen to. It's over 6 minutes long, and it feels like such a cop-out. It's got some great grooves to it, honestly, but outside of a sharp line here and there, this is just not my cup of tea from Yard Act. You are going to want to hear most of this album, though, especially if you're a post-punk head. Quarantine the Sticks Easily one of my favorite tracks here. This is such a fresh sound for post-punk and art punk. I love this groovy, thick bass riff. And yes, there are times on this album where I wish it had a little bit more bite to it, but tracks like this make up for it. Especially with that memorable chorus, easily one of the best rock choruses I've heard in a few months. Pour Another is once again a really perfect medium for the band. It's got a slick groove and there is tons of tension here, but it's also oozing with personality and quirkiness. It's also just genuinely out there, man. It is a rip. But then I hear 100% Endurance as a finale, and it's okay. It's fine. I mean, lyrically, it's just as sharp and really likable at the end of the day. But this isn't the gut punch of a finale that I really have come to love on a post-punk or an art punk album like this. It's very average. I mean, there's so much potential on this album. Yard Act have so much of it. I mean, they have everything that I love in post-punk and art punk. They have the personality. They have the anger. They have the grooves down. They can write a serious hook as well. I mean, if you were into that Pottery album that came out a couple of years back, definitely check this out. There's a lot of great stuff on here that you're gonna want to hear. I do wish I got just a little bit more of a bite from these guys. And you know, there are times where this is a little bit too cookie cutter, but you know, it's certainly not bad. There's a lot of it that's actually pretty good. I'm feeling a very light 7 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. Until next time, have a great day, guys.